Welcome to Uncut and Unfiltered Cosmetology Insights with Nathan Shaw, where we help aspiring and current beauty professionals master the business and craft of cosmetology so that you can build successful, long lasting careers. Your guide is Nathan Shaw, a dedicated educator and working man's hairdresser who successfully built his schools from his earnings behind the chair. And he generously shares his deep industry experience with you through this show to challenge misconceptions and also to teach you critical skills that you need so you can manage your career and build a business within the industry. I'm the host of the show, Andy Traub, and today we're focused on why graduation or just being in the industry isn't enough. It's really just the beginning. So while your initial education provides the necessary foundation, or the work you've been doing for a few years is good, it gives you technical and business skills for sure. But today you're going to learn why success moving forward depends on constantly learning and staying relevant in a changing industry. So we're going to talk about ongoing education. We're going to talk about learning new techniques and learning about new trends. So Nathan, how many years have you been in the industry?
I've been in this industry 25 years now,
Okay.
which is amazing to say and slightly frightening to think that many
All
years
right.
passed.
So here's a quiz. What is something you've seen twice now? It's back,
Something I've seen twice.
right? Or it's come
Um,
back.
I would have to say, well, there's a few big ones that always come back, and it's the A-line bob is what it's often known as. The one thing I've seen is kind of the shag. It's reimagined, right? There was a shag in the 70s, which I wasn't around doing that, but there was a shag in the, I'd say, early 2000s,
Uh-huh.
maybe mid 2000s, and now it's coming back and they rename it the wolf cut, and it's a variation of the same haircut, just
Yeah.
styled with a little bit of a modern twist.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
And so it's a reminder that things come and go, right?
absolutely.
Let me ask you this: when, like, how often do you experience? Is it 4 or 5 a year, or is it 10 a year? A trend that's coming. Is there two that happen in nails every year and three for hair? I mean, how many sort of trends would you say or sort of popping up at any given time? I know it's a big question, but just kind of
Yeah,
think about that.
I would say it's, and I'm speaking more as a hairdresser behind the chair. I'd see maybe two big trends a year.
Okay.
And
Okay.
it
Okay.
wouldn't be a lot every year, but like
Right.
they'd gain steam through the year and then they start to die out and another one comes in.
So, do trends happen every year in every category?
I would say
Meaning,
absolutely.
meaning nails, color, other areas of the industry.
Yeah, you'll see, the nails will change. Sometimes it's the shape, sometimes it's the product being used, the level of nail art being done. Hairs, it's cutting, it's maybe the color technique,
Yeah.
or even even the color. There was
Oh
I
yeah.
cracked up. They called these one blondes mushroom blondes for a while, and it was just
Okay.
it was a cool tone blonde, meaning it had more of an ash or cool tone, and
Okay.
but it was the mushroom tones were the big thing. So
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. My son, I think about this with like fashion. It's probably 4 or 5 months ago. He was cutting the bottom off of his t-shirts. And I was like, because my son's about my size now, and he'd borrow my clothes. And one day he borrowed my shirt, and then he came in the room, and I was like, bro, first, I'm cool with you borrowing my t-shirts, but like, that shirt's older than you, and you just cut it. Like, what are you doing? He's like, oh yeah, it's like a thing. And I'm like, okay, no more shirts of dads until that trend is gone, right? And I want to connect with you listening today with these stories as we start the episode, which is like trends are gonna keep happening.
yeah.
So what do you do with them, right? And not just trends, but just also just getting better. But it leads us to our first point. We've got three today, which is first of all, why is continuing education, and that could be sort of the mandated continuing education, depending on what field you're in. It could be sort of the boring kind of continuing education, or we'll just put it in the category of like learning new things. Why is it necessary in the beauty industry?
It's funny. This one, hits home with me. Like one of our core values as a company is always learning. We call it always learning because that's the only way you get better in life. The only constant I've ever seen is that things continually change, right? And so to me it's necessary to your point with these trends. It's like if you're doing the same thing over and over and you are not staying on top of the new skills coming out, the new trends coming out, and sometimes those trends are going to require a honing of a skill you may already have, but you need to update. If you don't do that, you become, you know, maybe washed out's not the proper term, but you become the stylist that's not up to date, and you're not going to get the new guests, and you're going to lose some of your current guests.
All right, so let's pause there. I think that's a huge one. And again, whether you're just listening to this because you're interested in the industry or you're already in the industry, one of the things that you made 2 points there, which I think are really important, which is if you're not continuing to get better, you can lose business in two ways. Number one is that you're not going to get the people who want that. Oh, do you have that? Do you do that? No. Okay, well, I'm going to go somewhere else. If you're, think about a store and there's a style and you walk in that store, they don't sell that style. And you're like, okay, well, I'm going to go to another store. I know that style's out there. I'm going to go to another store, right? Um, or there's my kids are all sort of teenager age, and there's a YouTuber. His name's Ryan Trahan. Have you ever heard of him? No,
Um,
it's
they
okay if you
have
haven't.
my yeah
Okay, all right, your kids maybe have. Okay, all right,
yeah.
that's where I learned about him. And he's just sort of like just fun-loving younger guy. To see his wife, and I think they might have a dog or something. But he, like a lot of YouTubers, is finding another way to monetize. He started a candy company, just like Mr. Beast started a candy company,
Okay.
and we, but they didn't. He because he started, and I think he might have like bought a smaller company. He didn't like start his own, but he like bought one and then kind of put his branding on it. But they would only sell it at specific stores, and for a long time, like I don't think they came at Walmart. It was only at Target, and then they sort of expanded. But I remember like going to a store and being like, "Do you have this thing?" And they're like, "No." I'm like, "Okay, I'm going to go to a different store, right?" Because this trend came up, and I want you to think about as you listen to this, if a trend comes, and not that you should chase every trend, but that trend may continue for 6 months. And if you don't have it, number one, people are not going to come to you for that trend, first and foremost.
Yeah.
Second, and I love this point, Nathan, it's nuanced, but if you're in the industry now, what if one of your clients wants that, whatever it is, could be a kind of nail art, it could be a color, it could be a cut, and they go to someone else for the first time and it's 2 minutes closer to their house and they like the air freshener there or the parking lot's easier or whatever. You get where I'm
Hmm.
going with this? You might
Absolutely.
lose that client,
Yep. Because it
right?
may not be just it may not be just a one-time visit for that trend.
Well, they
They
thought
might
it
be
was. They thought it
yeah,
was, right?
and it turns into their new permanent home for their hair needs or whatever it
Because
is.
let me ask you this, as a provider, I'm talking to you who are listening, as a provider, or maybe you're not in the industry yet, and so you're thinking, oh, I'll just go for that one time. But as a provider, like if someone came to you for a cut because they're like, oh, my person doesn't do it, but you do it, you know, do you want that person as an ongoing client? Of course you do.
Yeah.
Of course you do. So also getting trends or understanding trends and being up to date, that can get you new business. It can get you a new client and a new repeat client, which is really the name of the game, right? You want repeat clients. So you
Yeah.
have to stay relevant because as you pointed out, Nathan, the industry is going to continue to change, period. Trends are
Yeah.
going to, like there's trends in every industry. Like I'm kind of a handyman and so my YouTube feed is full of, like new tools. I'm like, how are there new tools? It's 2025. How are they making new tools? But there's trends in tools, right?
Yeah.
So these are very easy things to shift. So let me ask you this. If someone is hesitant to say, I don't want to chase trends, what would you tell them?
I don't think it's about chasing trends as much as it is being able to give the guests what they want. At the end of the day, we're creating a guest experience, and you don't have to chase the trend. But if your guests are, and you're trying to, throw up your hands, and be like, no, that's just a trend. It's not going to last. Well, that may be true,
Yeah.
but if you can't offer that, they're going to find if they want the trend, they're going to find who can give it to them.
I think you said a couple important things there. One is that trends never last. That they're trends. They come and they
Yep.
go, right? But if you refuse to learn any of them, like then, and unless you just do the most basic of services, then whatever you do is going to go away too, right? Like so, you got to stay up on that. Um, so this you work in a changing industry. There's, and I would say some industries don't change very quickly, right? Like you think about electric vehicles, right? Like it's taken 10, 15 years. I don't know how long Tesla's been around and now the others, but like how long has it been taking for that? Like that's a single trend, right? Like the beauty industry can have two or three trends in each category every year.
Yeah.
So it's you've got a hyper, there's a lot of change happening quickly. So you have to be willing to change because the industry is changing. The second thing is, what does it take to stay relevant? What does it take to do continuing education? So, what is the actual requirement? What is it going to require of people if they want to continue to grow and always be learning?
Number one, it seems obvious, but I'd say an open mind to learning new things and not know how, no matter how busy you are, how skilled you are, or confident in your work, that there's going to be things you can learn. I think that's
Okay.
the biggest thing. You've got to
All
have
right.
an open mind.
I love that as a starting point, Nathan. Is what do you have to do? Like, what is so we know we've established it's true. You need to get continuing education. What is it
Yeah.
required to do it? And I thought you were going to be like, oh, money or time. And you're like, no, it's a willingness.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of people just aren't willing to learn. So first, a willingness to learn. I love that one. That's a great one.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about some of the other practical things I'm willing to learn. Now, what do they need to do?
And this is where they've got to be willing to go out and actually find the trends. Who's leading this, right? With social media these days, you can obviously and should be following some of the top people in the beauty industry, and they're going to be able to point you in all the places where these trends are popping up, and most likely educational opportunities so that you can hone your skill that way.
Okay.
Um, I could go on and on. There's a bunch of different ways. That's the first one that comes to
So
mind.
finding people though,
Yeah,
finding you have to find the people that you can follow and learn from.
absolutely.
Right. Okay. Now let me ask this: when it comes to ongoing training, um, how much of your income do you think is a healthy amount to invest in? And I'm going to put it in a larger category, just to invest in your business. Meaning,
Hmm.
if you let's just keep it real simple, keep the numbers super simple. Let's say you make $60,000. Should you expect to spend $5,000 on equipment and learning, or is it 10,000? Is it 1,000? Because I think also having a mentality of I'm going to keep investing in my growth, meaning I want to get better tools. I want to, whatever it is. I don't know what it is because there's so many different categories, but or I'm going to take classes, even if they cost money, right? What is a fair amount you think that you could invest back in yourself that would be worth it?
Oh, that's a kind of a bit of a loaded question. What I mean by that is, I'm a firm believer that like if you're not where you want to be in your earnings potential in this industry, the more you're willing to invest in continuing education, the quicker that's going to go up. So you're
Okay.
actually going to want to you're going to want to have a higher ramp on that, right? Meaning if you're at 60,000, but you're like, I need to be making 120,000, then you might want to be putting 10% of your income, right, into tools and education.
Right.
Whereas I'd say 5% is probably a pretty reasonable amount, you know? So if you were making 60,000, 3,000 a year in advanced education and tools is going to really continue to very quickly incrementally increase your earning potential.
Yeah, and I think about this. If every time, and those who are listening, this is going to sound silly, but and it's kind of a hidden question. So listen closely and see if you get the right answer. Nathan, I haven't prepared you for this, but you
Okay.
might get the right answer. So here we go. Ready? If every time you gave me $1, I gave you $5. Let's assume this is legal. Okay. You get to ask me one question. Okay. Um, uh, you know, every time you give me $1, I give you $5. Within that arrangement, okay, what's a healthy question to ask me?
how many dollars can I give you? Is
Yes,
that
correct. I did not
that's
prep
the first
Nathan for
question?
that, which is
That's the first thing
how
I
much,
think of. I was like, okay,
how
how
much
many dollars
can
can I
we do
give
this
you?
again? Right? How many dollars
Yeah,
can I give you? And that is, it's, you think about, people think about with investments like stocks and
yeah,
things like that. But it's like, hey, if every time I give you $1, you give me $2, then the only question you should ask, other than is this legal, is, um, is that like, how many times can I do this? This is a great deal.
yeah,
When you have that mentality about your education, because think about this on a really practical level. Again, this is true of people who are not in the industry or those who are in the industry. Is if I if I just if I'm making, let's say, 60, and I know that I can make 80 if I spend $3,000. So if I
yeah,
spend $3,000, I can make another 20, right? Like it's a massive return,
yeah. It's
right?
about a 700% return on that money.
But who is listening right now, and I want you to feel bad about this, so I make no apologies, is when's the last time you spent anything on your education? But for people who are in the industry, when it comes to continuing education, I want you to lean into them about the power of, and maybe you've got a story from your own experience of like, gosh, I bought this thing and like it constantly, it immediately made me more money, or I learned
Yeah.
how to do this thing and it immediately paid for itself. Anything come to mind?
So for mine, it's education that I got, and it was actually, I don't want to say it was free education because I went to work for a product company early in my career. I knew that would be one of those skills that if I went and learned how to educate, I would increase my knowledge as well. And um, the way it cost me is I had to take basically almost a whole week off work. They sent me to a 5-day training to understand their products and to be educated because they want a consistent, education going out about their product. But that 5 days, while it cost me being out of the salon and I had to travel and the other things associated with that,
Yeah.
I came back with such a renewed confidence and immediate skills that when I started using those skills on my clients, my number of referrals just exploded. Like I started
Interesting.
getting more and more new clients. So it was like, a, you know, I probably doubled my income that year just from doing
Wow.
that.
Wow.
Yeah.
So let me be clear for those who are listening. It did cost Nathan something, which is time. Your time always costs something, right? Because if you're
Yeah.
not, if I said, Nathan, do you want to hang out from 2 a.m. to 4 a.m.? He's like, well, do I want to give 2 hours of sleep to whatever he's asking me to? You know, and if it's to watch, some asteroid show, he might go, yeah, I'm down with that. That's worth 2 hours of sleep. I'll go back to bed, right? But if
Yeah.
it's like you just want to hang out and talk, Andy, let's do that at 7 a.m. because then I'll be awake. Like it's not worth the 2 hours of sleep. I mean, our
Yeah.
time has value, or your time away from family, or whatever it might be, right? Your time costs you something, or time that you're not going to be behind the chair making money.
I would say
You
that was the
know,
other thing. Lost earnings. I
lost
wasn't working.
earnings. But again, hear and believe the math on this. I mean, I just have a very hard time believing that if you spent a day, even if you're like, I got to cancel appointments for next Friday because it's the only day they have this class, so I'm going to lose out on $500 that day. But I'm going to go learn this skill that I can then charge for that thing, or it's going to make me twice. I also think about equipment too. I mean, we'll get into that probably another episode, but like there's things that there's tools that I use that I go, okay, that paid for itself in one job, right? Like if the better equipment you have, if it makes you 20% faster at something or more efficient or better, to me that's a no-brainer. It just pays for itself
Yeah.
so quickly, right?
Yeah.
So it'll cost you your time. Um, I think it also costs you some humility because you got to walk in there and go, I don't know,
Yeah.
like I don't know how to do this. But that kind of goes back to your willingness to learn. So let's go to this third one, which is, and we'll be on this one for a little bit. Where do you find ways to get better on not just the Instagram reel you scroll by, right? But where are some sources of actually investing in yourself, of getting better from a continuing education standpoint?
The big one I always kind of go to because it's what's not just helped my career. I have several family members in this industry, but it's going to actually take classes, and you have to pay for some of these classes at whether it's trade shows, beauty shows. But even more with manufacturers. And by manufacturers, I mean the people that manufacture the hair products. If all of us use hair product or skin product, whatever it is. But if you're using a product line and they're not offering you opportunities to continue to get education in it, you're probably using the wrong product line. Now, with that, those sometimes they'll actually give you points for how much of their product you sell, right, towards education or different things. But even if it's a paid for class, they are going to get the industry leaders as a manufacturer to make sure that they are on the cutting edge, because that's how they make their profit, is selling those products. And they're not going to be able to sell their products with people in the industry that aren't staying on the cutting edge, right? So it's
Yeah.
if that's how that's how I always went. And I would go to, I went to a product company. We carry a product line out of Italy, and actually last just over a year ago, my wife and I went over there and we took a class at their manufacturing plant, and we got a tour of their manufacturing facilities.
Wow.
And I've
Wow.
been in the industry over 20 years, but it was so cool to go to Italy and take a class and be humble, like you said, be like, okay, I've done thousands of haircuts, thousands of colors, and I'm here to learn a new skill. And
Yeah.
it was a great opportunity, and it cost money and time, but it was awesome.
Right. So, I mean, some people are like, yeah, cool, Nathan, I'll go to Italy. I'm down with that,
Yeah.
right? You know, let's think also, what are the other so you said the product companies should have, if they're worth anything, they should have training on their products.
Yeah.
Yes? What
Agreed. Yeah.
other areas or ways can you get knowledge, skills within this industry if someone's like, I don't know, I went to school, I have a job, I don't know how to do this. I don't know where to go get better, right? What are some other
Yeah.
ways they can get continuing education or just learn those trends other than like guessing and watching Instagram?
Well, there's a lot of companies out there that part of their business model is helping train stylists so they can become better. And when I say stylists, I'm talking as cosmetology industry as a whole, right?
Uh-huh.
But you can go to there's uh, supply houses that supply just professional products for professional
Uh-huh.
cosmetologists.
Uh-huh.
They're always going to be able to have some type of like upcoming advanced education that they can steer you to. So some of it's just going
Because
to
they want you to see them as a knowledge source and then want to continue to buy the product from them, right? It
yeah.
benefits
I mean,
everybody.
yeah, it benefits them, but obviously by them offering you that, you're probably going to be more loyal to their products because you learned how to use it well, but you are going to increase your skill too.
Right.
And some of those are free, and some of them, it's just your time and maybe travel if it's not the class isn't held locally. But a lot of times it may be a paid for class or a class you have to pay for.
Yeah.
But it's like if you want to get better, you've got to put that effort and energy in.
Yeah. Now, this is a story that I promise it relates to this industry, but have you ever seen the Gordon Ramsay show? I think it's called Kitchen Nightmares.
I believe I
Um,
have.
so he goes into a restaurant. They know he's coming, and they basically say, Gordon, please help us. Okay. And he goes into the restaurant and he just sits down. And, the cameras are there. They know he's coming, but maybe they don't know exactly when he's coming. But he shows up and he sits down and he starts to order. And based upon that experience, he will then evaluate, how good the restaurant is. And he'll also talk to the staff and say, like, what do you think the problem is? And this is the key connection to you if you're listening is at one point, Gordon says to a floor manager, so this person is in charge of basically the ongoing running of the restaurant, and says like, what's the problem with this restaurant? What do you need to fix? And so if you're hearing my voice right now and you're like, my career is not where I want it to be, okay? So your business has a problem, okay? So that Gordon says to this woman, what do you think the problem is with your restaurant? And her answer was, we need more customers. And the problem with that answer is that's not something the restaurant truly has control over. They don't. They can only
Yeah.
do things that bring in more customers, but they have to do other things. You don't just run out front and grab people and bring them in the building. That's a way to get more customers. It's also called kidnapping. You can't do that, right?
Yeah.
So so how do you what is the problem with the restaurant was her question. And she couldn't see it. It was, "Oh, we need more people. It's like, okay, if that's your answer, you're never going to get better. It's
Yeah.
it's it's not going to get better because your problem is someone else's behavior. So if you're listening right now and you're like, my career is not where I want it to be, the problem is not that you need more clients. You don't need more people sitting down in your chair. That's not the problem. It's a problem, but it's not the problem. The problem is you need to get better,
Yeah.
right?
It's a,
And that's
it's
hard
a
to hear.
symptom. Yeah, I believe it's a symptom of the problem, right? If you
Yeah.
don't have enough customers, that's a symptom.
That's a symptom. So great, really well said. So what do you do about the symptoms are telling you something, right? And so what they're telling you is you've got another problem. So you can control that problem. So if you have any part of your career right now that you don't like, you have control over that. And the way you have control over that is to get better. Uh, and the way you get better is by doing the things that Nathan is talking about today.
Hmm.
Because those are things you actually have control over. Nathan, let me ask you this as we wrap up. What are some places to avoid, maybe, or ways to vet ongoing education? I mean, I'm sure not everybody, not all education is created equal. I don't
Yeah.
know if people, oh, I promise that if you do this, you're going to double your income. I don't know how much of that's going on in the industry, but what are questions you should ask or ways to vet if the ways to get better are actually worth your time?
Oh, that's a great question. I think it can be hard because there's so many ways that people are introduced to possible education, especially online, right, with social media
Right.
and things. But I think the big thing is being able to see the quality of work that someone's done, right? Like,
Okay.
what's their portfolio look like?
Hmm.
What's their customer base look like? Are they reaching the type of customers you aspire to have yourself?
Mm.
You know,
Yeah.
if they can't answer those things or they haven't done it, they haven't walked the walk themselves. You know that it's probably a little bit of a snake oil
Yeah.
that you're buying.
Yeah. That makes me think of as well. Not everyone that's good at doing something is good at teaching that thing.
Correct.
There's a really negative phrase, which is those who cannot do teach.
Hmm.
I don't know that that's true. I think teaching is a separate skill than the doing. Like some of the greatest coaches of all time. Well, let's put it this way: the greatest basketball player of all time was a bad coach. His name is Michael
Yeah.
Jordan. Right?
Yeah.
He bought a NBA team and they didn't do very well because apparently managing is different than dunking, and he was really good at dunking and not great at managing.
Yeah.
And he's doing fine. I don't feel bad for Mike. He's doing okay, right?
Yeah. He's
But the point is, it's a different skill.
yeah.
So the other is, yeah, if someone's going to teach something, make sure that they know how to do that thing, right? If they're actively in the industry. But other places, it's like it might just be, yeah, they're just a really good teacher. They're really good at breaking that down. Um, and I just want to encourage you that I think there's ways to make small investments and not make huge investments. It's like you can say, if someone sells courses, take their smallest, cheapest, shortest course and go, yeah, that was good. Okay,
Yeah.
now fork over. You know what I mean? Like you don't have to go all in on it, right? Uh, but there's a big gap between, yeah, I saw that on social media, and I made time in my schedule to go learn this thing, right?
Absolutely.
Um,
I
and 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 I want to encourage you as quickly as you can implement it. You're going to feel afraid. Don't tell them it's your first time you've done this, and charge for it. But there's ways to learn.
yeah.
And I think, Nathan, let me ask you this on a really practical level. We'll end with this. What do you think is a fair amount for someone to set aside for a continuing education? Just like what's an amount? It's like, hey, just find X amount of dollars in the next month and just go spend it just to try. Is it $100? Is it $500? Like, how much could someone take and go, or is it nothing and they just need to look?
You know, if you're just starting out, I really do think it's nothing because there's enough resources out there. And there's enough people that do education that they're going to give some free value to you regardless,
Mm,
right?
mm.
You just have to do the work for the free value they're going to offer. And those are usually the people you're going to want to invest in when you do have the money. Like if you're getting value from their content or like the little tips and tricks they might give you for free, and then
Right.
they're trying to sell a course, if you've actually found those free tips and tricks
Right.
are beneficial
Yeah.
and they're good at not just explaining them, but like I said, kind of educating how to do those tips,
Yeah.
that's probably the people you're going to want to invest in first. And that's a great way to vet as well.
Love that. Well,
Yeah.
that's yeah. This is part of that in that we want to show people a path and talk about the industry in such a way that you also do trust in the schools that Nathan runs and say, wow, he's giving me all this advice for free, all this knowledge for free. And if you're listening to this, you shouldn't have paid for it. It should be out there free. And if someone's charging you for it, let me know because they owe me money because they should
Yeah.
not. We're putting this out there for free because we also want to be generous and say, hey, like if you're willing to learn from us in this, imagine what happens when you actually pay and you go through the course for people who are already in the industry or the people who are just getting into the industry, right? And
Yeah.
so Nathan is practicing what he preaches in that regard. But I think that's a great piece of advice: is don't spend anything other than your time, which is valuable. Do that first, and then implement. I think that's the biggest thing: is knowledge is not power. I know it's sort of a famous saying that knowledge is power. Applied knowledge is power. It's knowledge is potential power, but if I just watch YouTube videos all day about becoming a better painter and I don't own a brush or paint, knowledge is not power, right?
Yeah.
Knowledge is a waste of time. So you've got to get out there and apply it. Nathan, I want to thank you for your years of experience that you bring to this show, and I just want to encourage those who are listening. If you're thinking about getting in the industry, make sure you get our free resource. We'll have a link in the show notes where I talk with the head of admissions for Nathan and his schools about how to vet and understand like which school you should go to. That's a huge decision. And then if you're already in the industry, you can also reach out as well. I know Nathan, you're working on some programs for people who are already in the industry to pivot or to change or to grow. And if there's any questions that you have for Nathan, we'll have his contact information in the notes as well. If there's other questions you have based upon what we talked about today. Nathan, as always, thank you so much for your help and your guidance as we seek to help people in this industry level up and get better all the time.
Likewise, Andy, thank you for your time. Appreciate the questions.